What is up, though, Lions fans? It's your boy, Motor City Don P, back here once again. You already know what it is when you see me in front of your TV. Is one thing's for certain, three things for sure. Number one, the Motor City Cats are indeed back at it. Number two, we came to give you stats, not none of that setting. And number three, perhaps the most important number of them all, we want to make sure that you keep your Lions news pragmatic. Now, we have to get into some things. This is the NFC North Report, Week 4 Packers edition. Are they who we thought they were? Did we let them off the hook? Now, the question I have is, can the Packers still go undefeated? Imagine being a Packers fan, being on X, and a Lions fan, such as myself, comments on a Packers post and says, can the Packers still go undefeated? And you not getting the joke. Can you imagine what it's like not understanding that your offensive lineman, one Mr. Rasheed Walker, was up there talking about something? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? When I look on the schedule, you know what I mean? I don't think nobody up there can, you know what I'm saying, can beat us. Like, I don't see nobody better than us, you know what I'm saying, when I looking on the schedule and stuff. So I'm like, yo, we gonna mess around and just go undefeated. That's what we gonna do. Facts. Right? Imagine your team getting up on the podium in front of the mic, what have you, and saying some cockamamie wild stuff like we're going to go undefeated the rest of the way. After 2 games, it's not like they played 14. It's not like they played 14 and they were 14-0. Hell, it's not like they played 16 and they were 16-0 and just figured that they weren't going to lose their last game. No, this dude said this after 2 games in the National Football League, people. That's what he said. That's what he did. So for you Packers fans watching this, because I know you are, that's the joke. So when you see me on Twitter or X, if you like to call it, and I say, can the Packers still go undefeated? That's what I'm talking about. One of these people responded to me, is like, can the Lions? No. And we never said that we were going to do that because we are a well-coached football team. Our players aren't idiots. That's just the way that it is. Our coach is not a girly man. Okay, our coach does not sit up there and cry because another coach went for it on 4th down. Do y'all remember when Matt LaFleur was out when we were in Lambeau, spanking that ass paws in the rain, and Coach Campbell went for it, and that dude was like, F off. Brother, it's football. You got bullied, right? Y'all beat us the first game of the season, and that was your Super Bowl, apparently. But anyway, let's get to this game. It was crazy. It was a crazy game. It was the second highest scoring tie in NFL history. The game ended in a 40-40 tie, and we're going to break down the things that happened in that game, why they happened, how they happened, and what they all mean for the Green Bay Packers and the rest of the NFC North. Now, what happened is it ended in a 40-40 tie. How it happened is that the Green Bay Packers were dominating the Dallas Cowboys. And I mean, they were dominating. They were kicking that ass. They were BTA. The first quarter featured 5 passes over 15 yards. That's crazy, right? The Green Bay Packers were doing whatever they wanted to do on offense and pretty much defense. There was a time when the Green Bay Packers were about to go up 14-0 in the second quarter. And guess what happened to that 14? That 14 didn't materialize. It stayed 13 because the Dallas Cowboys got in and blocked the extra point. Not only did they block the extra point, but they picked it up and went all the way to the house with it, and they got themselves 2 points. All of a sudden, it was 13-2. And then the next thing you knew, it was 13-9. And then Matt LaFleur tried to get into his aggressive bag. He tried to do his best Dan Campbell. He tried to go for it and push it in the last 2 minutes, because now the momentum was swinging the Packers or the Cowboys way, and he just had to make sure that we quashed that, but he just didn't have the situational awareness. And he didn't have the situational awareness because he came out passing, right? And they said in the broadcast, even though Chris Collinsworth glazing Jordan Love for 3 hours is painful. It's a painful thing. Okay. But they said in that broadcast that for whatever reason, the Cowboys said for whatever reason, Jordan Love can get loose with the football and they can take advantage of that. And sure enough, Jordan Love got loose with the football and got strip sacked. This is the last minute of the half, mind you. Situational awareness was not had by Matt LaFleur, and it was not had by Jordan Love. In the situation, you can't take a sack, right? Okay. You definitely can't get strip sacked, right? And you definitely can't allow the other team to recover it. That's what happened. All of those things happened. And then the Dallas Cowboys recover it, and then a few plays later, it's 16-13. And they're going into the half with a halftime lead. Now, if you look at the numbers, just the stats, Jordan Love looked like he played a phenomenal game. But see, it's not just the stats. That's not what we're looking at. That's not what we're talking about. Because when you watch the game and you see it with your own eyes, you go, I see what you're talking about. I see what you're talking about. So in the second half of this game, both of the defenses stayed in the locker room. Okay? Both of the defenses stayed in the locker room. I told you at the half it was 16-13. We wound up at 40-40. Okay? Both of the defenses were like, we're just going to stay in here. We don't feel like playing. Okay? Jordan Love threw an interception, but he did that crazy, that thing that Aaron Rodgers would do, which is quite ridiculous. The man is making a beeline for the sideline, and you snap the ball, and he's 1 foot in the field of play, and you're like, too many men on the field. Brother, he was getting off the field. It's not like he was ever going to be able to affect that play. They kind of need to change that rule. My man's leaving. Okay? He's not lingering. He's in a dead sprint to get to the sideline. There's no competitive advantage of having his foot on the field when you snap the ball and then he's out of bounds, off to the sideline, not involved in the play at all whatsoever. Right? There's no competitive advantage that the Cowboys have. Oh, there's 12 men on the field. No, he's not participating. He's hauling ass to get off the field. Okay? So I feel like they should change that rule. And really, it's only the Packers that kind of take advantage of that. It's cheesing. And that's why they're called the cheeseheads. But he threw a pick on that play. But of course, because of that silly penalty that had nothing to do with anything, it got called back. All right? Anyway, they mess around. George Pickens scores a touchdown to go up by 3. Towards the end of regulation, but there's about a whole minute left. And I was like, that seems like it's too much time left, because the way these defenses are playing, because I told you, neither one of their defenses came out of the locker room for the second half. So the way that those defenses were just sitting, chilling in the locker room, I was like, that's probably too much time. And I was right. It was too much time. The Packers drove down, and then they got the 3 to send it to overtime. Now, because you only needed 3, that's why it was too much time. It was, I believe, a 58-yard field goal that he had to kick to go into overtime. So it wasn't like an easy kick. It wasn't a chip shot. It wasn't none of that. Okay? So now we get to overtime. The Packers win the toss, and they say that they want to kick, and the Cowboys select which end zone they want to go to. They go down should have probably scored a touchdown. I feel like they had opportunities to do so. Micah Parsons did come up, and I don't know if they called it a sack or whatever, but it was kind of like right at the line of scrimmage where he was able to corral Dak Prescott and wrap his legs up because he was going to go in for a touchdown. And that would have been not the ball game because with the new overtime rules, each team has the ability to possess the ball no matter what. Okay. No matter what. So you can score a touchdown or you kick a field goal or score a touchdown. The other team is going to get the ball back. Okay. And they're going to have an opportunity to go down and do it. And there's no double overtime. So it's going to have to get done within the overtime period. If both teams score the same type of score and then the time runs out, that's it. Game ends in a tie. So that's pretty much what happened. So now the Packers get the ball back after, Dak Prescott gets tackled pretty much at the 2-yard line. He was about to just jaunt in there untouched. So Micah Parsons came around the edge. Actually, Chris Collinsworth was wrong. He said, and he comes out of nowhere. He didn't come out of nowhere. Actually, Dak Prescott was running away from him. He was running away from him. And that's why he was scrambling. He was trying to get to the end zone by running away from Micah Parsons. So anyway, they kick a field goal and the Packers get the ball back. And the Packers go down. And at the end of the time, there was a play with about 17 seconds left. The Packers treated this in a way I can't even describe what I was seeing. The only way that I could describe it is at the end of the first half, I told you there was no situational awareness had by the coach or the quarterback. At the end of overtime, there was no situational awareness had by the quarterback, the wide receivers, the offensive line, the mascot, the team owner. Nobody had situational awareness here, and they pretty much just kind of walked up to the line. They got down with 17 seconds left. They walked up to the line pretty much, and it was snapped with 6 seconds left. Jordan Love takes a couple steps back, and he just throws the ball into the back of the end zone, and it gets tipped by the Cowboys defender. And they said when it hits something, the clock stops, which doesn't make sense. Because if it was tipped by the Cowboys defender, then we would have had to wait for whatever happens, like it gets to the ground or it goes out of bounds or whatever. Because you tip it and you pop it in the air, it's a live ball. Someone can catch it. So they're not stopping the clock. I feel like they gave them a second. Because lo and behold, there was 1 second left on the clock when the dust settled. Brandon McManus comes out and kicks a little chip shot field goal, and it goes in there. Okay, now, here's what I learned. And here's we told you what happened. Now we're going to tell you how it happened. NFL teams are NFL teams for a reason. Sometimes they're bad. Sometimes they're really bad. Sometimes they're just a few plays away. Sometimes they're a few players away. The Dallas Cowboys roster is not devoid of talent. It is a talented roster. They have talented players on both sides of I would say they have an abundance of talent. I mean, Trayvon Diggs has deficiencies, but he's a very talented corner. Deron Bland has deficiencies, but he's a very talented corner, right? They've got talent. They've got talent on the offensive line. They got talent on the defensive line. Dak Prescott is a talented quarterback. Whatever you think about Dak Prescott, I watched this game from start to finish. I watched him throw a crazy pass to Jalen Tolbert all the way down to the 5-yard line. And Jalen Tolbert is stretched all across the out of bounds, right? And gets both feet in just barely, horizontal this man was when he caught this football. He wasn't vertical at all. He wasn't standing up. He was horizontal. If you haven't seen the play, go look at the highlights. It's crazy. And Dak did that on the run, and it was one of those fadeaways that Chris Collinsworth was praising and glazing Jordan Love over. Anyway, okay? Not setting your feet and having, he's like, oh, he floats like, like bouncing around in the pocket like Muhammad Ali. That's not really how you're supposed to throw a football, but I digress. So Dak Prescott has the talent. Like him or not, Jerry Jones has put together a talented roster, and he's given his team a chance to win with the roster he's constructed. He's also hired a head coach who's not the bozo I thought he was going to be. I thought he was going to be Mike McCarthy 2.0. Who McCarthy is not like he was a bad X's and O's guy. He just was allowing Jerry Jones to speak for him and to run all over him. I don't see it yet with Brian Schottenheimer, but there's still time. The reason that the Packers tied the Dallas Cowboys and didn't lose to them, because this game should have been a loss. The Packers should be on a 2-game losing streak. And I'm just being very honest with you. It's not because I hate the Packers. It's not because I'm a Lions fan. It's because I'm being objective. And what I saw objectively was Jordan Love cost his team at the end of the half, which swung the momentum and gave up the lead. And he pretty much cost his team the game, but they gave him that one magical second. Okay? Decision-making with Jordan Love is poor. And I keep telling you guys, he's not that guy. He's not the guy Mina Kimes thought he was or said he was. He's not the guy that everybody wanted to be there because, and they mentioned it. Oh, he's 27. They mentioned that. Oh, there's just the magical number where Brett Favre and Bart Starr and Aaron Rodgers won their Super Bowl. They want so badly for the Packers because it's a cool story, right? It's a cool story that the Pittsburgh Steelers have had 3 coaches in like 100 years. That's a cool story, right? It's a cool story that the Green Bay Packers have had 3 quarterbacks in the last 50 years. That's so cool. It's not the case. Jordan Love is not transcendent. Jordan Love is not going to go to the Hall of Fame because Jordan Love has bad decision making. He's a poor decision maker. The reason that this game happened the way that it happened is because the Dallas Cowboys, while talented, are one of the most undisciplined teams that you'll see this year. There were personal fouls flying everywhere. There were defensive holdings, illegal contact. There was PI. There was everything. And most of these things happened when it was a 3rd down for the Packers. And a lot of it happened while you were getting a stop on 3rd down. There was one particular play, I don't remember the name of the linebacker, but Emmanuel Wilson? Yeah, I think it's Emmanuel Wilson, right? The Packers running back goes out in the flats to catch a pass, drops the pass. 5 seconds later, 5 seconds left off. No, like a legitimate 3 seconds later, the linebacker comes out of nowhere and blasts him. I'm like, what in the Sam Hill are you doing? Like what you had, that was 3rd and 6, I believe it was. You had him off the field. You were going to make a stop. Congratulations. You were going to be the only defense to make a stop, and you do some boneheaded stuff like that. There was a situation where somebody got tackled. I think, again, it was Emmanuel Wilson. They got tackled in the backfield, 3rd and 15, something like that. Something crazy. My guy gets up and punches him in the head. While he's getting up, he punches him in the head. He gets flagged for unnecessary roughness. This is why the Packers tied that game. Because the opponent tried their hardest to give it to them, and they could only tie them. So what did we learn about the Green Bay Packers? The Green Bay Packers may not be able to go undefeated anymore. I have to check on that. Can they still go undefeated? You guys tell me in the comments if you think they can still go undefeated. I don't know. But the Green Bay Packers are not a bad team. Are they a threat in the NFC North to the Detroit Lions, who are currently number one in the division at 3-1? The Packers are at 2-1-1. They're number 2. And at 2-2, the Minnesota Vikings are now tied with the. Actually, if we go by the tiebreaker, wait, no, yes. So the Minnesota Vikings would be in third place, and the Chicago Bears would be in fourth place. Right? Because the Chicago Bears are also 2-2. But the tiebreaker goes to the Vikings because the Vikings beat them. Okay. All right. So the Green Bay Packers in the NFC North, are they contenders or are they pretenders? We'll have to see. Okay. A lot of times the opponents that you beat and how you beat them will tell you everything that you need to know about yourself. But the opponents that you lose to and how you lose to them will also tell you a whole hell of a lot about yourself. The opponents that you tie and how you tie them, I don't know what that means because there's really not too many ties in the NFL. Am I scared? No. Because as I said, I used to be afraid of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. At first, I was afraid. I was petrified. I didn't know if I could catch a dub with Lamar Jackson by my side. Okay, you know how it is. That's how I used to think. But I don't care. Bring anybody on. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Because I feel like my team can beat your team. But this isn't, about me hyping up the Lions. This is just about me telling you my honest opinion on what I'm seeing from these other NFC North teams. And we're going to talk about the Vikings. We're also going to talk about the Chicago Bears. I got to rewatch both of those games. Chicago, I wasn't really locked into. I was just, it was red zone. And yeah. And then for the Vikings, I was asleep. I know it happened, but I have to just go back and reaffirm and watch those games from start to finish. And then I can talk about them. And, I mean, the Bears did win, but, you know what I mean? All right, so we are going to go ahead and get out of here. This has been the NFC North Report, week number 4, Green Bay Packers edition. Once again, the Motor City Cats are indeed back at it. We came to give you stats and not none of that static. Whatever you do, make sure you keep your Lions news and your NFC North news. Make sure you keep your NFC North news pragmatic. And we are out. Peace.